Hello everyone, this is Perfume Coast, so welcome to my channel. Today I continue talking about citrus profile and it's all about lemon today. So without further ado, let's jump into the ocean of perfumes. So lemon of course is one of those notes that are oftentimes considered as simplistic or even boring, and I sometimes happen to join that crowd. And for a good reason, because indeed lemon is very good in breaking down the heat on our hot summer day, but on the other hand, very often it can be a lot more than this. And hopefully some items from my collection will be able to attest to that. But the fragrance I'd like to talk about first is called Agua Miami by Spanish brand Loewe. And as always, let's first take a look at the notes. So on the top we've got lemon, bitter orange and tangerine. In the middle there's neroli, petitgrain and lily of the valley. And finally in the base there's musk and iris. Now this perfume starts off very lemony. This opening is tart, fresh green and a bit mentholic. But this mentholic effect is not the likes of toothpaste. In fact it's very natural and just emphasizes lemon on the other hand. But gives this lemon this slightly herbal nature. It could be that it's petitgrain that delivers this. I can also detect neroli, which softens the blow, so to speak, of extremely citrusy lemon, and it's this note that gives the scent a bit of white floral vibe. I do not really detect an awful lot of bitter orange or tangerine, in fact none, but this citrus types normally have very bright characteristics by their own, which are missing here though to my nose. Perhaps lemony nature of this perfume overpowers all the other citruses, or maybe tangerine and orange simply serve here as highlighters of citric direction. Anyway, as the scent sits, floral territory gets brighter and more prominent, and on the forefront I can smell good dose of neroli petitgrain freshened up by lily of the valley. The lemon here is very much there, but now it's a lot more toned down. And in the dry down it's rather a soapy neroli forward scent that retains a bit of herbaceousness and also a good deal of lemon background. Overall, a very invigorating and quite variable perfume on the hottest of summer days. So next up is a very similar looking bottle by exactly the same brand, Loewe, but this time this one belongs to a completely different line called Aire, which is also an old line, but the flanker is called Fantasia. And as always, let's take a quick look at the notes that Fragrantica is listing. So here what we've got on the top is lemon, grapefruit, tangerine and orange. In the middle there's neroli, lily of the valley, magnolia, almond blossom and jasmine. And finally in the base there's musk, vetiver, sandalwood and thyme benzoin. Now this one definitely is the scent from the same family as Agua Miami as said before, but although it may seem impossible, it's nonetheless even more lemon forward and tart as compared to the previous one. And this perfume in the opening is very much what it's going to be till the very dry down. So let's get back to the opening though. It's again extremely lemon-centric, tart and juicy. It almost feels like I'm drinking this freshly squeezed unsweetened lemon juice. But this juice is not in any way all synthetic, as the case may be with many other lemon-dedicated perfumes. This lemon is extremely natural and bright. I wonder also whether there's some zesty accord added in here. And I'd rather say yes, but this pulpy lemon is definitely the main act here. So if you're looking for a very natural and linear lemon for a heat of summer, this one is definitely worthwhile considering. My take is that brightness is contributed here by the lily of the valley, as the case may be with this beautiful flower. There's also almond blossom note, of course, in this fragrance. And although it's not exactly what I'm thinking of smelling this perfume, I can see there may be a bit of fresh almond flower aura around. And if so, it would be probably your freshly squeezed lemon juice as said before, obviously with lots of lemon fruit added to it. and with a tiny bit of something almondy, because as said before, this fragrance is just surrounded by this fresh aura, which is probably delivered by the almond blossom. Another characteristic of the scent is that whilst essentially being a bright lemon, it lasts quite long, and we all know this rule of citrus-forward freshie. They do not last long, unfortunately, unless being grounded by some heavy, heady notes such as woods, amber, or the likes. And indeed, I can see benzoin note among the base notes, but this perfume does not come across as benzoin forward at all, or in fact even benzoin containing. So my conclusion is, again, benzoin probably is serving here purely as longevity provider. So again, if you're looking for a lemon forward, non-sweet fragrance to break through that summer heat, the one that lasts long but without heaviness of longevity providing notes and accords, this could be your choice. Next up is yet another similar release, which is slightly different though. It's the release by the house Dior this time, and the fragrance is called Escale a Portofino, and it belongs to the line which is called Cruise Collection. And this collection, as far as I remember, is dedicated to the likes of travels in interpretation by Dior, of course. But let's quickly look at the notes that Fragrantica is listing here. So on the top we've got bergamot, lemon and petitgrain. In the middle there's orange, juniper berries and almond. And finally in the base there's cypress, cedar, musk, galbanum and caraway. So this perfume has been featured in one of my earlier podcasts, but I'm very happy to describe it once again, as this perfume is also a bright representative of this lemon lineup, as it were. So the opening is extremely fresh, juicy, and of course lemon forward. I can clearly smell petitgrain, which lends this green woody accord, also giving this perfume tangy brightness and herbal touch. There's this juniper note, of course, in the list, but instead of berries, I rather detect pine-like nature, as if I'm in the pine woods wearing my beautiful perfume on a summer day. And this sun of the summer day is peeking through the pine trees. So maybe it's a combo of juniper berries together with cypress note that's in the base here. So this perfume also comes across to me as a bit soapy, and this is what's very much often the case with orange blossom notes to me. It sometimes becomes extremely soapy. By the way, as far as orange blossom note is concerned, while I've heard a lot of reviews stating that by comparison with neroli, orange blossom is sweeter, to me it's the other way around. Orange blossom, to my nose, is always less sweet, louder, and very often soapy. By the way, please share your views on this. But what's totally unexpected with this release to me is this that despite all the notes listed, this perfume, as non-sweet as it is, gives me this dark chocolate edition. And the imagery that comes to mind in the end is this dark bitter chocolate, the one with about 90% of cacao beans. And that chocolate covers this fresh lemon fruit. And this combo of fresh tart lemon and slightly sweetened bitter dark chocolate is so delicious to me. And also does provide a bit of gourmandy vibe, whilst of course retaining this extremely invigorating summer qualities, but it's fresher with this, not quite, but maybe a touch of chocolate gourmandiness. So extremely unique and beautifully wicked scent that by all means will deliver all the lemon forward features as said before. But the longevity is pretty good as well, about 4 hours, so not such a bad deal for a fresh air. And again, the scent is this fresh and bright lemon that's in the opening, giving off this pine-like impression. And going forward, it's getting transformed to a clean citrus with a touch of dark chocolate. And talking about dark chocolate and chocolate overall, with next two fragrances, we move our video even more in a sweeter direction. And that's why the next release is by the house Chopard, and it's called Lemon Dulci. And as always, let's take a quick look at the notes. So according to Fragrantica, what we've got here is the following. So on the top, we've got lemon, bergamot, mandarin orange, shiso, and ginger. In the middle, there's orange blossom, apple, mango, and cucumber. And finally, in the base, there's mint and woodsy notes. So right from the start, somehow I get abundance of sweet black tea. And of course, as we could just see, there is no black tea among the notes. So this tea is obviously with a good dose of lemon added to it. The one that's slightly tangy and bitter, which is counteracted though by sweetness that this fragrance has to it. And this sweetness here may be landed by the beautiful note of mango that's among the notes and is quite detectable as well. This lemon tea fragrance in the opening also enjoys the presence of some eastern spice accord, the one that I come across in a Japanese restaurant for my dessert. And this is obviously a note of shiso, I think. So imagine your lemon tea that's sweet but also a touch bitter, as it's your black tea after all. So with mango syrup added to it, or even pulpy juicy mango fruit added. And this tea is spiced up with ginger and shiso leaf. So even a drink sounds quite complex and scrumptious, and it's even more great to have this fragrance on, especially given that it's quite affordable compared to its lemon-forward equivalents of many houses. For example, this one I've bought for as little as €25, and this is in a regular shop at a heavily discounted price though. So if you are looking for something which I've just described, please go out there. I think there's still plenty of options, both on grey market and even in regular shop, as said before. So, smelling really great, this perfume is this very good value for money. Also given that it's quite long-lasting, about 6 hours in my case. So, a big recommendation to test as your summer option with a bit of this complex fruity twist. By the way, as far as mango is concerned, whilst being a bit of synthetic, it nonetheless is clearly detectable, and in combination with other notes listed such as shiso, the overall impression is not synthetic at all, if that makes sense. But the impression is rather perfumey. Again, quite complex in a good way, and the one probably that keeps this fragrance away from overly gourmand territory. So, and finally, to wrap this video up, we've got quite a popular release of 2 years back perhaps. It's the release by the house Dolce&Gabbana, and it's called Devotion. So, and as always, let's take a look at the notes that Fragrantica is listing here. So on the top we've got bergamot, we have candied lemon. In the middle there's panna cotta, orange blossom and rum. And finally the perfume is grounded by vanilla in the base. So this one is the most gourmand perfume of all mentioned so far. And I've recently reviewed its flanker, Devotion Intense, that's even sweeter than this. And this is the reason why I prefer to never wear or test them side by side, because the sweet gourmandiness of this one, or G, can then easily come across as less prominent, more tart and screeching sometimes. And all simply because of wearing intense flanker at the same time. However, we're not doing it today, and that's why I can certainly attest that the first spritz of this perfume delivers this truly gourmand vibe. This gourmand opening is simply divine. It's certainly lemon containing, but very true to the notes listed. So it's this candied lemon inside this creamy panna cotta dessert that's sweet, vanilla-y, and yes, slightly boozy due to the rum note present. And also I'm very much on the same page with other fragrance community reviewers who very often compare this scent to a sweet, freshly baked lemon cake with a creamy inside and sugary icing on the top, perhaps. So the lemon fruit inside this cake is candied, of course, and it gives our vanilla-y lemon cake this extra sweetness. So extremely sweet, creamy, delicious scent with elements of hot-baked pastry that only contributes to the impression of our lemon cake. So this scent is quite linear, So if you are someone who doesn't mind smelling the whiffs of extremely gourmandy, beautiful perfume like that around you, do go out there and test this beautiful release. And as with major part of sweet, creamy gourmands, this one is totally wearable in colder season or for an evening occasion, as the case may be. But also, because of quite a prominent lemon in here, as sweet as this fragrance is, it can totally be worn also in summer, well, perhaps not on the hottest of days. But as said before, guys, this has been the last perfume for today's video. If you like this video, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing. Please share your comments if any. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.